Well, for many college kids, binge drinking is a real problem and a dangerous one. Dr. Vincent Eletto is from the JFK Medical Center. He joins us now to discuss this issue. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's talk about this. We have heard this. This is an issue that pops up now and again. Has it gotten worse?
Actually, latest statistics show it may be improving, but we have to look back at binge drinking. Binge drinking historically was something that someone would disappear for a weekend, 3 days at a time. Their whole purpose is to just get drunk and stay drunk. And as a result, they would lose their family ties, they would lose their jobs, etc. And now binge drinking is redefined as having 4 or 5 drinks in a 2-hour period.
Which college kids often do, sadly.
College kids have much more than that usually. That's quite true.
What can happen to you when you do binge drink?
You know, the statistics are that about $500,000 a year is spent by each university on accidents, falls, altercations. Let's face it, people get very brave when they drink, and they get into physical altercations. They believe they're Superman, and they can just about do anything, you know. Date raping is a big thing with drinking, getting someone drunk and raping them. And that's a very big thing right now.
Now, you say for colleges about $5,000 per student, but is this accurate here? Cost to the U.S. $224 billion a year?
Yes, that includes lost time at work. That includes all the car accidents that one may have, all the results of, for instance, a lot of people come into the emergency department that are drunk. And, you know, though we do not do anything for them besides watching them, perhaps give them some vitamins and an IV fluid, you're looking at a cost of about $3,000 to $4,000 per person. And that's just because they're drunk.
Now, we know the dangers of this. It can be said that college kids especially may not know the dangers of this. Why does this continue to happen? All that information is out there. They're all connected to the internet. We've heard stories over the years of how dangerous it can be, but it continues to happen. Why?
I think it's because when you're young, you don't understand your mortality. Most of us who are older understand mortality. Our relatives have died. When you're young, your young friends don't die. Most people do not have a friend who dies when they're 17 or 18 years old, and they don't see their mortality on a personal level. So they go ahead and drink, and they don't understand that you're drinking and drinking, 90% of the alcohol is absorbed from your stomach immediately. So you don't feel those effects for perhaps 40 minutes or so they'll continue drinking and drinking.
Does it have long-term effects if you drink in college and you drink a lot at that age?
Well, it doesn't have the effects long-term. It does have, if you continue, yes. It begins to affect the brain with things called Wernicke's encephalopathy. People have difficulty walking. People have difficulty thinking, identifying objects. So on a long-term basis, yes. However, no one knows exactly who or when someone will get cirrhosis. We've seen young people who have drunk very hard through their college careers and unfortunately have gotten cirrhosis.
How young?
I've seen 23-year-olds, 21-year-olds, and we can't forget something called pancreatitis that's caused by drinking. First episode of pancreatitis could kill you. I've seen 17,
Explain that in layman's terms.
Well, the pancreas is an organ that digests foods. And what happens is it becomes inflamed because of the alcohol, and it begins to digest your bowels. And it affects the lungs, affects the kidneys. It's a very serious disease.
Now, we've talked about how college kids think they're immortal, and that's why they drink, because they think that, you know, their friends don't die. But obviously parents know about this.
Yes.
They understand mortality. What can you say to parents out there who might have kids in college? What can they say to their kids so they understand that it is dangerous?
Talking to them, telling them that alcohol, although it's a legal drug, is not a good drug. They can have just as much fun without that alcohol. In fact, they could probably have more fun, being in total control, not acting like a fool, not getting behind a wheel and driving. An interesting statistic CDC just put out is that there's less drinking now among teenagers who are driving. And that's a very encouraging statistic.
We have about 45 seconds. What's being done, if anything, to prevent this? Is there enough information on campus?
Yes, and one of the things the campuses keep putting out is information, and believe it or not, they're making the liquor stores open farther and farther away from the college campuses, which seems to be helping.
Okay, Dr. Vincent Eletto, thank you so much
Well,
for
I thank
informing
you.
us today. Very important subject, especially this time of year.
I
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.